Please like, share, and subscribe to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for subscribing to the podcast and on YouTube as well. Just wanted to stop by to talk to you about the Chicago Bears. So over the last 48 hours, everyone tells me that the vibe around the Bears is different than in years past. You get to Indianapolis and there's questions about the quarterback or who the next head coach is going to be, and some of the big picture items that the Bears that they need to be able to tackle. And this year feels different. There's holes to fill on this roster. There's no question about that. But when you're ahead of schedule as far as your offense, you got the quarterback in place, you have a number of wide receivers, you have some cornerstones with the franchise. It doesn't make the job easier, but it's not as difficult as trying to find the next head coach or the quarterback. So that's something positive. As you well know, there's going to have to be some changes with this roster. You got to a certain level, championship level, but now you got to be able to make some changes and make some hard decisions. One of them is DJ Moore at wide receiver. Now, listen, you're DJ Moore. You had a very solid season if you're the Chicago Bears because from a production standpoint, the touchdowns and the receiving yards weren't there. But the one thing that was there is hard work. He was a tough player. He's tougher than I ever thought he would be with the Chicago Bears, and DJ Moore did a lot. And when Roma Dunze was out, DJ Moore stepped in and filled the bill nicely for the Chicago Bears at wide receiver. So do you let him go someplace else? Do you trade him? Ryan Poles was non-committal when asked on Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN Chicago, what about DJ Moore? Is he going to be with the ball club next year? He says, he wasn't sure. He didn't say yes, he didn't say no. He said that's a tough decision. So DJ Moore may not be with the football team. Anybody could be traded. Anybody could be cut. Point is, though, is that you got to be able to replace that toughness, and you're going to need several wide receivers on this roster that goes along with Roma Dunze, with Luther Burden, with Cole Kmet, with Loveland, and the other pass catchers on this football team. You're going to need a couple, so that's great. The thing I've been harping on a lot is looking at this defensive line. There needs to be a pass rush on this defensive line, and they tried to fill it this past season along with a fresh offensive line, but that defensive line did not get home enough, and so now the Bears have to address that in the draft and free agency. And Ryan Poles, as transparent as I've heard, talked about those things, understood that DJ Moore may not be with the football team, Tremaine Edmonds may not be with the football team. There's a number on the defensive line that may not be here. They'll try to make a trade or cut players like Dingbo. When you are at the front of the line in the NFC North and you won the division, you have a little bit more boldness. You feel like my back's straightened a little bit more, and I feel like I could be able to do some things. My hope is that as good as the offseason the Bears had last year, they can have another good offseason this year by being able to replace the holes in this roster and also making those tough decisions. There are Bears that's on this roster that have contracts that probably should go. You got to figure out what the next level of the Bears is. You just got to winning the NFC North Championship, and so now you got to address that defensive line. You got to take a look at that secondary. You have like 4 safeties to try to fill on this roster, and then try to figure out what you want to do at left tackle. That's not necessarily on the roster. You might have to go draft that or try to find it someplace. The point is, though, is that to me, the temperature is down on the Bears versus years past where there was this sense of urgency. I have confidence that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen and the coaching staff and the scouting staff will be able to fill these holes on this roster. Will it be at a championship level? Got to find out. But the one thing for sure is that out of Indianapolis, it's not like the urgency and the itch that you usually get. The Bears are actually going to be making some moves here in the offseason, and Ryan Poles is transparent and telling you some guys that you may like may not be on the roster, and they're going to have to try to replace them. So leave your comments below. I want to get your overall thoughts about the Bears and the roster. It's been a busy week, but I just want to just stop and just say, let me talk to my people about the Chicago Bears because there's a lot of news and potential news for this Bears team. So let me get your thoughts on what the Bears should do here in the offseason now that they're done in Indianapolis at the Combine.